It was very stressful at meal times. If you could just imagine having someone whose memory, cognition is so impaired that he does not remember all the time, that when you say come to the table, let's eat, he does not understand what you're saying, and then trying to make him sit at the table, to eat their meal. It becomes a sit down, eat, sit down, come back. And that was very stressful, not only for that resident, but for the other residents at the table and for the staff. I always thought I listened to my staff. I've always said that they had a voice, but what I've learned is that I wasn't really listening to them. When we first began the project, during our first meeting, the nursing assistants, the LPNs, the RN, myself, the nurse manager, and the dietitian, we sat down to view the film. Then we start brainstorming. We start talking about, okay, what resident needs what type of assistance? Who's not eating their food? Who's putting more food on the floor, on the table than they're actually consuming? And we talked about some of the residents who would not come, they would be too busy to sit down at the table for a meal. And they, the LPNs, the nursing assistants, those people who are right there at the point of care, they know the residents best. They know their habits, they know their behaviors, and they gave suggestions. And once we got those, we sat down and we had a whiteboard, and we made lists of who needs assistance, what we thought worked best for what residents, and that's how we started the project. Everybody was part of the team.
That's what puzzles us so much. Yeah. It's like he gonna eat when he want to eat.
Like a sporadic.
So, yeah. But I guess he probably was like that before he got here.
She just said he never ate a lot.
Sometimes we have a problem with keeping him at the table, so yeah, he's on the go, always just moving.
Coming up with finger food ideas where we could just put it in his hand and let him walk wherever he wanted to, and that way we could get some nutrition out of him.
They know to give him a sausage and biscuit, he'll eat that, or either feast him like a pork chop sandwich, he'll eat that, and give him something to drink, and he's fine. Another
resident, we noticed he was losing weight, relatively big guy, but was losing weight, and it took him a long time to get started eating a meal. But what we noticed is that maybe he just had too many options.
I guess with his attention span being as short as it is, if you put too much on the plate for him, I think it's like it's overcrowding, overbearing for him. So it's best to just give it to him at least with one or twice, and then he can focus on eating that's right in front of him at that point in time.
That we're able to keep an eye over and just watch how they do things and learn their each individual characters. It's a lot of trial and error going on just to see how they react to different things that we put in front of them. Like with the finger food situation, with Ned at first, just getting up every day, not eating his food and stuff like that. Let's try to give him something that he can walk and eat, stuff like that, and see how that's gonna work.
They took it upon themselves to talk to the evening shift food service worker. After a while, we didn't have to tell the food service workers. They was telling each other. They would come on the unit and they say, oh yeah, I heard about this gentleman. He gets, 1 or 2 items on his plate. Ask him what does he want and we'll put it on his plate. Since the food service worker felt that they were asked to be a part of this, it made them feel important. And it improved the communication with them. At first we were going to them, telling them, this is what we need to do, how about helping us? But it turned around. They would say, hey, we've got fish sticks today. Let's try fish sticks with him, referring to the gentleman that does the finger foods. So they were actually giving the CNAs input on about what they thought would work. So the staff started huddling. And at first it was kind of still a little official. We did a lot of trial and errors with this in the beginning.
Trial and error. If this doesn't work, then let's go back to the drawing board and see if we can find something else that will.
But then the CNAs, once again, they started huddling with the other CNAs. They would, when they were doing their handoff, they would say, oh yeah, don't forget now that we're doing this with this gentleman.
Teamwork, good communication, good handoff from shift to shift.
So what I saw, everybody taking ownership. everybody felt empowered to give decisions.
Being willing to try something, a different idea, like he was saying, it doesn't have to be nursing staff.
I realized that so many times we're so busy talking, we already come to the table with the solution. At least we think we have the solution, but we really don't. You know, that these people who are at the point of care really do know the residents that they care for. So one of the lessons that I've learned, the most valuable lesson that I've learned, is that be quiet sometime and listen.
They will say, well, this is what we did and it worked yesterday, or, you know, and we, so sometimes it's not that we had a huddle meeting, it's just in the midst of the battle, whatever that is. We share our ideas and say, well, so-and-so tried this, let's try that.
I was surprised with the number of people that attended the workshop or the group session, and the number of people that had input, because they actually know the residents the best. There was things that they've noticed. I didn't want to overstep on a clinician's toes. Staff get easily discouraged, so you know, if you know, the clinician and the food service staff don't follow through with the ideas that were brought on the table, I can tell that the staff are motivated by you know, when I follow through with my end of the deal. People want to do a good job when they come to work.
Listen and give them the opportunity to be the leaders that they are, and you'll be surprised at what leaders step up to the plate. You know, once we talk with the staff, and I think it all began with letting them make decisions instead of, you know, me coming down saying, do this, do that. But they came up with decisions, and I think once they felt empowered to start with the foods and then the sleep pattern and now the behavior, who knows what they'll do next.